It was a new victor on the season yesterday as Ethan Goulart stormed to a top spot in Virginia International Raceway, but today is a new day. We've reset the deck, we've reset the order, and plenty of drivers are eager to get their way back up towards the front of the field and regain top stead in this championship fight. DJ Clark up here in the commentary booth alongside Kyle Heyer. And Kyle, heaven on earth, this place has been called, and I'll tell you what, the racing yesterday was just about as heavenly as you can imagine.
It was fierce and super competitive, but it was Tech Sport Racing's 10th victory in their history here in Toyota GR Cup North America, but with a new driver, as you mentioned, Ethan Goulart, and they had a really strong qualifying here this morning. But I think the storyline here, DJ, this is the tipping point in the championship. 7 rounds complete, 7 rounds to go, and it was Weston Workman again just eking ahead a little bit farther over Jackson Bell after a couple of slip-ups in Oak Tree yesterday. So Jackson Bell's goal here is to start gaining ground on that number 13 BSI car all the way to Indy in the fall.
Yeah, if I'm Jackson Bell at this point, I'm not necessarily looking at where I am on the track. Don't get me wrong, you always want to win, but I'm looking at where I am in relation to Weston Workman, as it seems more and more like it's going to be a 2-horse race between those two former teammates. It should be recognized as they were both teammates at Copeland Motorsports last year. Lucas Weisenberg, another one to maybe put into that conversation, although he's a few farther points back than the two of them. But Weisenberg, another one of the drivers to take victory on the season. Will Robusto, another one for RVA Graphics Motorsports by Speed Syndicate. But he's had some up and down results that have really seen him not factor into this championship as much as I think he'd hoped to.
Yeah, certainly. Then you mentioned Spike Kolbecker with RVA Graphics Motorsports by Speed Syndicate. Really strong qualifying efforts both yesterday and today. He'll roll off second place today, but the pace at the tail end of the race just wasn't quite up there in the mix. He's the third winningest driver in this championship over the course of its 3-year history, so maybe today is the day that he breaks through in 2025, but he'll be chasing Weston Workman in that 13. A little bit of damage on the side of the car. It's been an exciting weekend, hasn't it?
You said it at the top. It got a little fierce yesterday, and that is certainly damage to show there for Weston. Weston, of course, had his breakthrough victories last time out when we were at Sebring International Raceway. Good to see him finally be able to stand on that top step of the podium. He'll be looking to do the same here today. He starts from 4th place position. But plenty of other good storylines in the race yesterday. The Tovo brothers having a remarkable run. They looked particularly strong. And there is that number 71 machine of Christian Weir. Weir up and down a little bit, but the purple on the side of the car in recognition of Alzheimer's awareness, raising money and awareness to combat that horrible disease.
Yeah, another one of those Tech Sport Racing drivers. You mentioned it this morning that Tech Sport, all 4 cars inside the top 10, including Brett Kowalski, who had some damage yesterday. Max Schweid had a DNF yesterday after contact at Horseshoe Turn 1. So both those drivers looking for a better day. And then up in 8th place, Max Stallone in his debut. Top 10 yesterday, top 10 start here. There's Lucas Weisenberg, championship runner in 3rd place right now. And he was P2, looking for 1 spot better today.
He, of course, gained his maiden victory 3 years ago at this very circuit. So this is a place he knows well. There it is, racing to end Alzheimer's on the side there of Christian Weir's car. A little bit of a wave to the camera. Love to see that. But these cars, why don't you tell us a little bit about them, Kyle, because they are super fun.
Yeah, these are great race cars. The Toyota GR86 Cup car. It begins life as a production Toyota GR86. They don't do anything to the engine. It's exactly as you get it from the factory, from the dealership. They install JRI adjustable shocks, Alcon brakes, roll cage and equipment, OMP seats, and the rest, you see the harnesses there, also OMP. And then, of course, some Segra 3D printed components, some Toyota GR Aero, and then Continental Tires, a set of 6-speed sequential. So all those parts and pieces, yeah, it sounds like a lot, but really these cars retain a lot of their road-going characteristics. They are very, very fun, near 50-50 weight distribution, 230 horsepower. They're a blast on the road. They're momentum cars and a great tool to go to do battle, especially on your way up the GT ranks here, DJ. There's a lot of young talent, including Jackson Tovo. He and brother Ethan turned 15 yesterday. They're qualified kitty-corner to each other in rows 6 and 7, 12th and 13th, and getting focused and ready to go here in just a moment.
Gotta say, love that helmet there from him. Very classic in the way that it looks. Ford Koch there as well, another driver to keep an eye out for as they try to work their way up through the order. There is the number 5 machine. That's Beltray Curtis for Copeland Motorsport. Copeland really was the cream of the crop last year, and now looks like they've kind of evened things out a little bit more. There's the other Tovo. That's going to be Ethan, a little bit farther back in the order. He starts off in 13th, but the big storyline for me this season, we've talked about it many a time, it's parity. It's everybody seems like as you come on in, anybody can win this race.
Livio Galanti starting 16th place, and a driver that would like a redo after yesterday. Isabella Robusto joining us once again at the Toyota GR Cup North America paddock. Strong qualifying effort for her up on the grid in 15th place, and a whole host of others. Big, strong field here at the midpoint of the third season, and a great look inside there. You see that gear shifter, that's a sequential. You pull back to shift up, forward to shift down. Once you're moving, you don't touch the clutch here, DJ, even though the road-going car you could get either as a 6-speed automatic or a 6-speed manual gearbox where you have to heel toe the old-fashioned way. This is that set of 6-speed sequential. You might have seen another racing series as well. Super reliable. You see it close in there. Simplifies the shifting process, makes the shifts nice and crisp and quick. Different ratios suited for the high speeds of racetracks around North America as well.
Patrick Brunson in that very distinctive livery that you see many a time out on track. James Klimas a little bit farther back in the field as we take a look inside all of these machines, and there one of the other Nitro Motorsports machines, Peyton Fan there farther back in the order. Not the best run for Peyton, but she'll hope to do a little bit better. Front row of the grid there, though, Jackson Bell and Spike Kohlbecker. Not going to miss Kohlbecker's car in that bright yellow with the Vanguard on the side of it. Can get a little confusing. You may even hear us get confused in between Will Robusto and Jackson Bell.
Yeah, those two cars, as I said yesterday, are not teammates, but they do have very similar color schemes as well. John Lennon in his first race weekend here with that number 12 at the tail of the field, and you mentioned Peyton Fan just gathering, building experience on her run up through motorsports ranks. A lot of these drivers started their careers in karting or in grassroots racing and are taking their first step into professional racing, and this is a great place to start, and it's a great place to end up. We've seen drivers come here to really show off their stuff. Think back to Indy last year with Cody Jones, and of course the star power there as well, DJ. We're gonna...
How are you forgetting Keanu Reeves?
I was going to toss it to you to tell me about Keanu Reeves, but I wanted to also segue that we have more star power returning to the paddock, in that being our friend Rutledge Wood, who ran earlier in the season at Circuit of the Americas, and he's back for the final 3 rounds at Road America, Barber Motorsports Park, and Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yes, he is. And the best sight all day, that's going to be these GR Cup cars rolling off for a single pace lap around this 3 and a bit miles of Virginia International Raceway. Plenty of weaving there to clear off any of the clag off those Continental tires, as well as getting them up to speed. Down into turn 1, this is where we saw a lot of the action, a lot of the passing, as well as a lot of the contact from yesterday.
Yeah, easy to make a mistake in a heavy braking zone here. Speeds north of 135, nearly 140 in the draft. These are very quick cars. They don't have a ton of downforce, but just enough to get it done, DJ.
All right, let's go ahead and bring you on through this lap, as there you see everybody, but better yet, let's bring you through the starting order. As we mentioned earlier, Jackson Bell for Copeland Motorsports going to be starting in pole position, hoping to claw back in on Western Workman in that championship lead. Spike Kohlbecker will be starting to his outside. Will Robusto will lead the way for RVA Graphics Motorsport High-Speed Syndicate with your championship leader Western Workman to his outside. Lucas Weisenberg starts 5th, and Christian Weir starts 6th. One of the 4 tech sport cars in the top 10, as is Ethan Goulart. Max Stallone on debut, a P8 performance, great run for him, and Max Schweid recovering from a tough day yesterday to qualify 9th. Brent Kowalski will round out your top 10.
Ford Koch and Jackson Tovo start side by side, as they were when they banged doors and went sliding through the S's yesterday. Ethan Tovo starts 13th alongside Beltray Curtis in the Copeland Motorsports number 5. Isabella Robusto in the blue number 111 for RVA Graphics starts 15th. Livio Galanti 16th in the 89. Then it's Carl Foreman for Precision Racing LA. Jensen Safronis in the 41 starts 18th. Then Patrick Brunson in the Eagles Canyon Racing number 93. And Massimo Sinceri in the 51 for BSI.
Peyton Fan will line up in 21st for Nitro Motorsports, and then Skip Barber Racing's James Klimas will be to her outside in 22nd. Last row of the grid, it is going to be John Lennon and Ethan Ayers for Nitro Motorsport. All right, this is a very tricky track here, Kyle. What's going to be the keys to make sure that you get your way towards the front end of the field in Toyota GR Cup North America?
Well, if you're not starting in the first 3 rows, you got to do what Lucas Weisenberg did yesterday and just go for it in the first sector. Catch everybody off guard. Show them you're crazy. Why don't you get up there and move up quickly in the order and catch everyone off guard? That worked for Lucas Weisenberg yesterday, but once you get there, then you have to be in a co-opetition mindset. You have to work together. Don't let anybody like Jackson Bell get clear road. Don't let Weston Workman or Kohlbecker or Robusto get clear racetrack. If any driver breaks away from the herd, it's very, very hard to run them back down.
That's very true, and you're going to have to make sure that you work together a little bit if you need to, although we did see yesterday Jackson Bell fell back courtesy of a couple of offs and was able to fight his way back up.
Heading down the hill here, lights are out on the GR86 safety car. We've seen that car go for some slides in its own right a couple of times. Again, very similar to the racing cars in a lot of ways, including that horsepower here, DJ. But the field heads down the hill. Race 2 of the weekend, round 8 of the 2025 season. Here we go.
Jackson Bell, Spike Kohlbecker on the front row. The GR86 safety car officially down into pit lane, meaning that Jackson Bell has control of the field. As there they go, and all eyes turn towards the flag stand, getting ready to get the green flag here from Virginia International Raceway into the acceleration zone. Bell gets on it early, and here we are racing. Looks like a good getaway for Jackson Bell. As we mentioned, Spike Kohlbecker trying to hold it out to the outside. There's a couple of drivers poking their nose to the outside, but we are a lot more neat and orderly than we were yesterday.
Yeah, that was a great launch there by Jackson Bell and got clear and free of any other traffic for the moment. Now it's Spike Kohlbecker side by side with Robusto there. Clean turn 1. We're 3 wide for second place, though. Weisenberg trying to hang tough on the outside, but that math isn't going to work. He's still going to leave the nose in there. Here comes Workman to the inside.
And that was a little hip check from Will Robusto on Lucas Weisenberg. Now it's going to be looked to the inside there for Weston Workman. That won't play itself out, and we're still single file for at least the top 5 or 6. Goulart's gained a position over Christian Weir to jump up into about P5.
A lot of really aggressive maneuvers down there into left hook turn 4. Now side by side into Snake. This is a tough area here, and a couple cars going for a ride through the grass. You don't so much corner through here as the track corners to you. You just basically drive straight and you clip the apexes left and right up the hill. 120-mile-an-hour climb up through the S's. Damage to Robusto there on the nose.
And Tovo and Robusto trying to almost go side by side through the rising S's. That's never going to work. Pieces flying off into the distance there. And here comes a move from Spike Kohlbecker trying to go to the outside of Oak Tree on Jackson Bell. He's going to think better of it. Will Robusto.
Oh, trouble in the background and coming down towards Oak Tree. There's a couple cars that were off, and it split the field in 2 big chunks now, and they're all getting back together. Ford Koch has damage. The 41 is Safronis has damage to that. Jackson Tovo in the 31 that's caught up back there potentially and stopped. Dead stick, I do believe that is the 31, DJ, so
that's what it looked like.
Big mess over the top of South Bend.
Yes, it is the 31. Good eagle eyes there for Kyle Heyer, and you can see that right rear, the toe length bend out of it, but the battle is still on for the lead of the race, and we've got a breakaway of about 6 cars.
Unfortunate issue there for Jackson Tovo. The rest of the field got back rolling, so I think we escaped it for the most part. That's a fast area to go off. Bell leads the way. Kohlbecker, 6 wins in his career, DJ, but none this year.
Very surprised by that for Spike Kohlbecker. I would have thought he would have had a little bit more. Good run in the back there from Lucas Weisenberg. He's going to try to put some pressure to the back of Weston Workman, but up at the front of the field, Jackson Bell's got a nice little advantage here. That gap as they cross over the line is going to be about 0.4 of a second. That will buy the Californian some breathing room.
Yeah, again, don't let him get out there on his own. Goulart, a big lunge up the inside of Weisenberg, but not quite enough overlap to complete that pass. So they'll stay single file for now. Remember Goulart, that was his first win yesterday. It was a long time coming. He's been in the top 10, top 5 for a while, but he had to wrestle his way to the front.
Yeah, he did. This was not an easy race for him to win. Big off there for Will Robusto. He's going to keep it in line and keep it close to Spike Kohlbecker. Very surprised he was able to keep up that speed while going off like that, if I'm honest. There's Goulart, your winner from yesterday, as they work their way into Snake. Yeah,
3 tech sport cars in a line. Christian Weir, Max Schweid, and Ethan Goulart. Goulart 6th, Weir 7th, Schweid 8th. Now remember that Max Schweid qualified 3rd, was up in the top 10 yesterday before having contact at turn 1. And there's Ford Koch on the pit lane. Significant right front damage to that Copeland Motorsports car.
And as you said earlier, big breakaway here for the rest of the field. It looks like that gap is really going to be from about 7th, let's call it 9th on back is where the breakaway is, but starting to form a little bit more from Goulart like that, 6th. We now head on to Madison Avenue. streams their way following Jackson Bell in the number 7.
Yeah, early on, but Bell had a much better run through Oak Tree. That was his Achilles heel yesterday. He was great everywhere but there, and the 2 slip-ups that he had gave up a lot of ground. So if he's managed to fix that or make a slight adjustment change to get a bit more grip in that slow corner, he's going to be tough to beat today.
Very tough to beat, although Spike Kohlbecker trying to be the one to beat him. He was fastest out of anybody through sector 1 and poked his nose out of line coming into roller coaster to see if he could maybe get into the head of the Gazoo Motorsports driver. Didn't necessarily work the way he wanted to, and everybody being very calm, cool, and collected despite clobbering the curbs entering Hogpen.
These cars are really compliant over the curbing. And again, the road-going car can already track it in stock form, but you put the JRI shocks on it and the Alcon brakes and the Continental slicks, you can really get aggressive. There's Max Schweid of the 98 Chicane Club on the side. That's a sim lounge based down in Florida where you can basically go and hang out and run the simulator, and Max Schweid uses that for practice and testing prior to these events. Spent a bunch of time in the sim, including last week's Toyota GR Cup North America Esports Championship on iRacing, where he learned very quickly that the esports guys are mighty quick.
Yeah, that they are. That they are.
Debris flag at turn 3 for a piece of something on the road, middle of the racetrack. So they will be displayed that flag for a couple of laps until all the drivers have seen that debris. Then they'll remove it and just be expected to miss it from that point on.
Okay, Kyle, we're in this situation where everybody's kind of looking like they're settling into a rhythm. What do you do to try to break this up?
Well, do you want to break it up is the question. 39 minutes on the clock. Do you want to burn up your tires right now? Do you want to push right now? I think if you're in the top 4, top 5, you feel really good about where you are. Maybe even Goulart feels pretty good. Christian Weir at the back of that shot there, just trying to keep touch with the front 6 cars. We know Goulart is a race-winning capable car, so everybody ahead of him you could assume would be the same. So right now, I think there's a little cooperation going on here, and this is just the beginning of the fuse.
Big step out there for Ethan Goulart coming through Oak Tree. Watch Christian Weir on this back straightaway. He may have a little bit of a run.
At some point, someone will light that fuse, to your point, so I just don't think right now is the time. But you see Jackson Bell, he doesn't want anyone to get anywhere near the fuse. Stay away.
As it has been coined, that is the dragon move, trying to break the draft as much as possible. Although the draft not nearly as strong as you would expect in these GR Cup cars.
No, these cars are really slippery. You might be familiar with some other one-make series where the draft is basically, you get the draft, you pass the car, right? But that's not how these cars work. They have a very low drag coefficient relative to other one-make machines. And they have a rear wing that helps punch a hole in the air, but again, it'll gain you 2 or 3 miles an hour, but nothing crazy. And you still have to be strategic about where you make the pass.
Will Robusto looking like he may have a run on Spike Kohlbecker. That's at least the closest battle in this top group, but Kohlbecker able to extend away a little bit more, about a car length and a half, 2 car lengths in between Kohlbecker and Robusto. Workman starting to press a little bit more. Here comes Goulart in the background, side by side with Lucas Weisenberg.
Ooh, that's going to be tough math down here into turn 1. A little bit of hip and shoulder, not quite nice and clean here, but these were the 2 drivers that won and finished 2nd yesterday. Right now they're battling for 5th. How competitive is Toyota GR Cup? On display right now.
Well, Goulart did the heads-up thing there, stuck it around the outside, knowing that the track would come back to favor him through NASCAR. Bend, still not major contact in between the 2 and give that position to Goulart.
Yeah, I know it looks like hard racing, but there was a lot of respect yesterday post-race. High fives, fist bumps, and a hug also from Lucas Weisenberg to Ethan Goulart. Weisenberg knows how hard it is to win these races. He's won a handful of them, 3 from the 2023 to now. Trying to make that wins column have some more numbers in it by the end of the year. We talked to him back at Sonoma, said 14 wins. Well, it's not going to be a perfect sweep this year, but he has claimed enough to be in the top 3 in the championship standings.
Although he did start off the season by keeping good on that promise with a victory, so at that point he wasn't lying.
I was like, man, he's really going to just put up or shut up, isn't he?
We thought he was going to do. Oh, bobble there for Weston Workman, and Goulart pounces on it.
Yeah, can't make that mistake there, and it leads onto a long back straight too. So if you make a mistake in the slowest corner on the road leading onto the longest stretch, it takes a long time to recover. Christian Weir popping to driver's left to get the tow from Weston Workman. Lucas Weisenberg is going to get pulled back with the side draft here. And now a shot to the rear bumper. You can give a push, but you can't stay locked together. There's a rule about that here in this series. You can't do coordinated drafting efforts. You can only give a momentary push.
Almost gave a little momentary push coming down to the roller coaster. Weir very, very heads up on the brakes. And I thought for a second this was maybe going to separate out this group a little bit more, but it does look like Ethan Goulart has been able to keep within touching distance of Will Robusto. Wide run there for Weir coming through Hog Pen. Let's see if that sets anything up on the main straightaway. Weisenberg may have something to say about it.
You know, you asked earlier why we were so sort of cooperative up here. I think maybe one of the reasons is that we've got two teammates, second and third, probably in the most prime position to spice things up. But Kohlbecker and Robusto know the math here. They're not going to get after it until later in this race as Weisenberg and Christian Weir trade spots here.
Yeah, it was a defensive line from Weir. He's going to hold it. That car looks twitchy, Kyle. He just, for Christian Weir, he bobbled a little bit there on the exit of Horseshoe. Weisenberg, nice over-under.
And it's tough to maintain the inside lane here, though. The outside carries so much more momentum. Max Schweid has a look, but discretion's the better part of valor there. We saw that piece of debris get run over. Just looked like a plastic fender liner, so don't anticipate that causing any problems for anyone.
Yeah, I was a little worried about that when I saw that line from Christian Weir that he may have some damage, but as you said, looked like a plastic fender liner and no real problem. Here comes Weisenberg, still on the back of Christian Weir. Weisenberg known to have some controlled aggression at points, so he may try to push his way ahead here into Oak Tree if he's close enough. Jackson Bell continues to lead. This the battle right now for P6 on track. This breakaway really caused by a big incident earlier on in the session in this exact corner.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Ford Koch and Jackson Tovo listed as out. I didn't exactly see how that incident started, but those two cars did have it coming together yesterday. And on driver's left, I think that it's actually Jackson over there who was pulled off. There was another incident a little bit deeper in the field. I saw that there was a note between the 89 and 80 of Fayen and Galanti, but we didn't see that either. So I'm not exactly sure what happened there. But Weisenberg on Weir. They're losing ground, though. I don't like how far back we are from this main pack here, DJ.
No, you've got to be careful, and I think if you're Lucas Weisenberg, you've got to get this move done, and you've got to get it done now. But Weir's going to fight him as they come into roller coaster, side by side, coming down the hill. Lost some grip there for Lucas Weisenberg. He's going to have to fall back, and let's see if Max Schweid can take anything from that. He cannot, but all that battling is doing is opening up that gap between Weir and Workman.
The front straightaway here now, 10 minutes in, 35 to go in round 8 of the 2025 Toyota GR Cup North America. And Jackson Bell has been in firm control of this race since the drop of the green flag, but look how spicy Ethan Goulart looks in the back of the RVA Graphics Motorsports teammates.
Yeah, the Brazilian-American driver wanting to try to push ahead. I think he wants to start positioning himself as best as possible. We're over 10 minutes down in this race. Wants to try to close this up a little bit more and get him into striking position. The problem is as we saw further back, if he makes a mistake or goes side by side for too long, that can open up the gap between Kohlbecker and Bell and just extend things, and that's not what you want to have happen.
No, certainly not. And Kohlbecker would really just like to, you know, pull the gazelle away from the herd here, so to speak, and leave teammate Robusto and everyone else behind. It's a lot easier to take a fight to one driver than 20 other drivers at once, or 5 other drivers. It's like going to the Super Bowl and you're playing 8 other teams. You can't just focus on one end zone. You got a lot to do right now. So Kohlbecker has to not only look out the windshield, but out the rearview mirror as well.
Does it help having a teammate behind you, knowing that that's a little bit of somebody who would help you?
It does, but Will Robusto's still battling for the championship. He's not going to lay back. So when you get to the white flag lap, all bets are off.
As that was that rule I just let out was Max Schweid taking a look on Lucas Weisenberg, and Weisenberg very, very firmly saying, "No, thank you, sir."
Yeah, so 1.5 back from Workman. They really need this front group to start battling, but I don't think it's time for that yet. So Lucas knows this. Gonna make the move here.
It's the same move he tried on the last lap. A little bit of a battle in front. Weisenberg's got a better run, though.
You just got to put the strongest locomotive on the front of the train, and I just don't know that Weir is in that position right now. A little contact there, maybe. Lucas drops off the edge of the road. Schweid goes around the outside.
He's going to try to hold it, but the corners are going to favor Weisenberg, but it's not going to matter. Schweid up into that 7th place position over Lucas Weisenberg. Now it's going to be interesting to see if the 98 can maybe get a move done on Weir.
Yeah, not good for Weisenberg in the championship to lose that many spots. And again, as I mentioned, you want the strongest locomotive on the front of the train. They're not making up ground with the 71 leading this pack. So maybe you take the opportunity to shuffle. They're racing, dare I say, a little too hard if they want to make up ground to the leaders. They're still going at it down here into turn 1.
Try to tell a racing driver not to race, and you might as well tell water not to be wet. Weisenberg around the outside. Remember, the Goulart pulled this move on him a little bit earlier, and Weisenberg soaking that up like a sponge, to carry on the water analogy. He's going to be able to get that inside line, take it back away from Max Schweid.
Oh, for the lead. Contact, Spike Kohlbecker past Bell at left hook. He's through the 55 car to the top of the board.
And mirrors folded in, so contact was definitely made. Will Robusto trying to do it as well, and there goes Goulart stealing a position away as Robusto going off through the grass.
Like a missile up the inside of the 7. He was heat-seeking something and threw to the top spot. RVA Graphics Motorsports by Speed Syndicate. And that caught Bell off by surprise, caught me by surprise, probably caught the fans over there at left hook by surprise.
Yeah, I don't think anybody expected that. And look at this little 3-car breakaway between Kohlbecker, Bell, and Goulart, sliding through South Bend. Love that corner in these cars as they come up into Oak Tree. Very late on the brakes there is Goulart as they plunge into the right-hander and bring their way out of the Madison Avenue once more.
Yeah, that gap between Robusto and Weir, that's gone. Goodbye.
Yep.
And it's a, what, an 8-9 car race for the top spot now? 9 cars in a pack here up the back straightaway at Madison Avenue, 30 minutes to go.
Yeah, that stretches all the way back to Max Stallone, which again, this is his first race weekend, so let's give credit to the PT Autosport with Copeland Motorsport driver.
Yeah, doing a great job here. And Spike Kohlbecker on defense now. Jackson Bell, no road left there on driver's right.
He thought about it pretty heavily, but decided to not go for a lawn mowing service at this point in time. He's going to stick in line, but that is going to allow... Ooh, Kohlbecker's got a little bit of damage on the right-hand side of the car, just one of those side skirts coming off.
Yeah, it's not a structural part. I don't think it'll cause a huge issue, but it'll be a distraction for sure. You're just hearing sounds and things dragging, and you're not exactly sure what it is. The team will be communicating that to you. Jackson Bell can see that, and they certainly did have some contact. Otherwise, the right side mirror wouldn't be folded in, and the side skirt wouldn't be dragging. And I don't love that the car that you had contact with is right in your rear view now, DJ.
And swiping and sliding. Goulart down to the inside. He likes that inside move. Puff of smoke there as I think there was a little bit of tire-to-tire contact. Goulart not able to get it done. Weir goes super wide, and Weisenberg just follows him.
They just took each other all the way to the boundaries of VIR down there. They was almost in the woods, taking each other to the edge of the road.
Watch Goulart here. He thought about it. Oh, now it's going to be Robusto down to the inside of Weston Workman.
Somebody watched the race here last year. That's how Gresham Wagner won this race, is having a look up the inside and sneak attack into left hook.
Weisenberg and Weir just continually trading that position back and forth as they just battle it out. I like what Robusto's doing here. He's about a half a car up on the back of Workman, just seeing if he can psych him out a little bit coming through the rising S's.
There's again, the aggression level this year has picked up tenfold with the drivers at the front of the field. And Spike Kohlbecker has not outrun Jackson Bell, still 2 or 3 car lengths, little puff of dirt. And Robusto, kind of a wild ride there for a moment at the top of South Bend.
We're thinking about it. I'm going to go for it. They're going to be behaved coming down through Oak Tree. But now on the back straightaway, that behavior might be thrown out the window.
Yeah, race control watch this very carefully. The expectations are set that everything's fair. So up the backstretch, weaving down Madison Avenue, Spike Kohlbecker. It's been a long time since he's been in victory lane.
Yes, it has, and Jackson Bell would love to deny him of that. He's not going to be able to get the move done here as they come through the right-hander at the top of the hill, turn 14 and 14A, plunging down once more. Such elevation change at this point on the track.
Yeah, huge drop, couple of stories down through roller coaster, and it feels just like that. It feels like you're on rails in the compression on the Continental tires. So 27 minutes ago, closing on the halfway point. We've had a change for the lead. Ethan Goulart, yesterday's winner, trying to sweep and trying to repeat what Weston Workman did at Sebring here. DJ, have a look at Race Vision, powered by AWS, the circuit performance here. Lucas Weisenberg quickest in the final sector, Goulart quickest in sector 1, and Weston Workman quickest in sector 2.
Defensive line for Kohlbecker through turn 1. Opens up a little bit of a door for Jackson Bell. He's going to carry speed around the outside, but that track will come back to favor Kohlbecker through NASCAR Bend. Unless Bell can get a crossover here, I don't think he's going to have an opportunity. And he's still thinking about it. Now goes back to the outside, just seeing if he can put Kohlbecker on a compromised line.
It's getting really tight here again. Yeah. Weston Workman again leading the championship. Talked yesterday about how he slightly edged out Jackson Bell and gain some ground at the points, but you don't want to give Bell the opportunity to start eating away. It's not like he's got a huge points lead. It was 18 points coming into this round. It's easily just one bad race away from turning the lead over.
Yeah, it's very, very close, and it's just about as close as this battle for P1 is. Almost looked like Jackson Bell was pushing Spike Kohlbecker up the hill. Bell sideways into Kohlbecker. Kohlbecker off, Bell off, and that's going to give the lead back over to Ethan Goulart as both drivers rejoin the track.
I cannot believe they kept the cars on the road, but Spike Kohlbecker's grill packed full of VIR's grass. That's going to cause this car to run a little bit poorly if it starts to overheat. Goulart takes the lead in a wild moment over the top of South Bend. Let's have a look at this here, DJ. The 55 turns in, the 7 sideways, and a little contact there sends Spike for a big hop, skip, and a jump over the grass.
And I don't think that was either driver's fault necessarily. I think they both just kind of lost control, and it looked like their Kohlbecker lost it. Bell had to kind of overcorrect in order to get that back together. There's now battle going on farther back in the field, and this is the 98 of Schweid mixing it up with their former leaders.
How on the limit are they? Well, the leaders just basically synchronized slide off the course. Now, Bell got the better end of that because his grill isn't packed full of grass. So the only thing that Kohlbecker can do is try to get up behind a driver ahead of him and to move across to create a low pressure zone to suck that grass out of the grill. But there's not a ton of aerodynamic effects on these cars, so I'm not exactly sure if he'll be able to clear it. He's going to try, I bet, but he'll see those oil temperatures start to climb here with all that grass blocking the grill.
And you mentioned performance. Look at him getting absolutely swamped down the main straightaway. Is that a result of that performance potential?
Too soon to know. I think it'll take it a lap or two to really get to that point. Now you see him pulling off there.
He's slow.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate. His last victory came at Barber Motorsports Park Race 2 last year, and it was looking likely that he'd have a real shot, but dropping out of the mix now.
Okay, let's reset the field here as they come down through left hook. It's Goulart, Workman, Robusto.
Actually, you know what? I think he might have tried to drop in behind Stallone to try to get some of that grass on. It's packed in there, though. I mean, it basically nosedived into the grass, and it'll be hard to clear that up without a trip to pit lane.
An incident involving 7 in the 55 is under review for race control, so seeing if there's any contact there. Don't know if there was or not, but we'll let race control decide.
There was contact, but it wasn't because the 7 drove in there and just ran over the 55. He just got sideways. So I'm not sure. We'll see how they handle that, but I'm curious too. Goulart leads, Workman second, Robusto third, Weir fourth, Weisenberg fifth. Calm everything down here for a second and get reestablished.
Yeah, but judging by that car angle coming into Oak Tree, I'm getting the sense here this is the opportunity Weston Workman was looking for. He just kind of laid back, let everything happen in front of him, and now he's ready to pounce. The only fly in the ointment of that plan could be Will Robusto coming up from behind him right now, looking to maybe make an attack.
Yeah, lots of weaving back and forth here. The other thing you got to be cautious of is in those weaves, when you get to the braking zone, you got to pick a line. You can't just change lines whenever you want, especially not in reaction to a trailing driver. Weisenberg on Weir. This is side by side into roller coaster. This is tough to do.
And how many times have we seen this between the two of them? This is exactly how Weisenberg lost a position to Max Schweid not too long ago. But if we remember back 3 years ago, that was exactly how he won his first race.
Roller coaster, turn 14 is a bit of an anomaly because you can go in there driver's left and come out on top, or go in there driver's right and come out on top. Just because it's a right-hander doesn't mean that the line is straightforward, because you can easily pinch someone, make them hop over the curb. The downhill run is like a ski slope, slalom left to right. And it really depends on the conditions and the circumstances who comes out on top.
Defensive line for Goulart into turn 1. Stymies the momentum of Weston Workman. It's going to keep it going. Wider line in the back there for Lucas Weisenberg.
Kohlbecker into pit lane, unfortunately. Oh, that's heartbreak for him. Had such a good run going. And all the while, this is looking more and more in Weston Workman's favor, having a new driver to the championship right in his crosshairs there. You actually see the car hot enough that it was smoking a little bit, just because that grill is all clogged up. They can handle a lot of heat, but not quite that much. They need a little bit of air to cool things down.
All right, what is not cooling down is this battle up for the front of the race. Workman continuing to just hound behind Ethan Goulart. We saw Workman on the last lap look a little bit fidgety coming into Oak Tree. Gets a great run here through the Rising S's. Going to try to see if he can carry some momentum through South Bend. Both of a little bit of a slip and slide. I don't think Workman's going to be close enough. Now he's going to think about it. Wider line there. Goulart covers it off. Potential crossover for Workman. Decides better against it. Goulart ends up getting a really nice line out of Oak Tree. That'll probably buy him a little bit of time.
Yeah, Again, we've not dropped much more off the tail of this field other than the 55. The 98's still back there. Max Schweid and Stallone is still in the conversation as well. The 88 PT Autosport car still at the back of the frame. So still 8 cars in this front group, and with how chaotic it's been this weekend and today, I wouldn't count anybody out just yet.
I wouldn't either. I mean, we're in a little bit of a lull right now, but I think that's a false sense of security because this battle's going to fire off in these final 21.5 minutes.
Jackson Bell back to Lucas Weisenberg now. I think Jackson also didn't take quite the wild ride that Kohlbecker did, so you worry when you go have that significant of a landing that you can damage suspension, your alignment, things like that. But Jackson kept it on the pavement the whole time and should still retain most of the speed that he had.
And let's not forget, thinking back to yesterday, Bell had that big off down into turn 1 that cost him a lot of time, and he was able to fight back. So we know there's speed. Goulart, very defensive line again on Workman.
Oh, he's in hot,
though. He's going to overshoot it.
Yeah, that's the one thing you got to be worried about is if you get offline to defend, you can't make the same arc into the corner. The geometry, the shape of the corner changes with the speed that you carry in from the inside lane. And Workman watching and waiting.
But it looks like Robusto's a little bit closer to the back of Weisenberg, or to Workman than he is to the back of, than Workman is to the back of Goulart. So we may see a move here from that RVA Graphics Motorsport Ride Speed Syndicate machine. As they climb up through Snake one more time. 20.5 minutes left to go in the race.
Yeah, Will Robusto just trying to get back on the horse. He came out really strong at Sonoma. With a victory in race 2 there, but then scored no points at the following round at Circuit of the Americas and just only 6 points at Sebring in each race. So he's 6th in the championship, but has the pace for so much higher than that. He knows that, and so does the team.
Here we go into Oak Tree. Little bit of look. Great on the brakes there for Robusto. Really carrying good speed through that double apex right-hander. I don't know if that's going to put him in a position to attack here necessarily, but Goulart once again employing that dragon move down the back straightaway, weaving this way and that, trying to break the draft a little bit.
You think these drivers get tired after a while? They've been scrapping at it. They get these little lulls to kind of recalibrate and reset, but man, they're just driving so hard.
Yeah, they're kids. They've got energy for days.
They do, don't they?
Yep.
Impressive. I'd be exhausted. I'm exhausted talking about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm really impressed here by Robusto. It's the second time we've seen him be very, very late on the brakes into a corner. I think he may have the ability to do an absolute send a little bit later in this race.
All the drivers tell me with these GR86 Cup cars that the one thing that is really overbuilt on these cars is the brakes. These things can stop on a dime. You're braking at the latest marker everywhere. The ABS is almost magic in these things, so you can really stand on them and be aggressive with it. Workman's going to try that from driver's left. Goulart defensive into 1.
Yeah, and Goulart continues to do this, just ride and drive super defensive into turn 1, side by side. Bell trying to make his move on Lucas Weisenberg. I don't think that's going to play out. Indeed, it does not.
Oh boy, here comes Weisenberg up the inside of Weir. He's getting desperate back here to get by the 71, and he's going to lose the spot.
Yeah, it's going to open up the door to Jackson Bell, up into the inside, into left hook. Good heads-up play by Jackson Bell.
It's like the red laser dot sight. You start seeing it show up on your back, and you're trying to get somebody else.
Yep.
And up through the Snake now, just lots of clobbering the dirt and curbs here. Looks like Stallone's fallen off just a little bit from the tail of this group. Max Schweid, though, again, strongest run that he's had so far this year.
Yeah, Schweid doing a really great job. Workman again all over the back of Goulart here. And the one thing that I will say about Ethan Goulart is the hyper-defensive nature of his driving coming into these corners. It's becoming predictable for Weston Workman, and he may be able to pick it apart.
It's a great point. He's defending in the same place every lap, and it's for good reason, because if he didn't defend it, Workman would just go for it. But when you do the same thing every lap and you don't sort of at least change around the lane that you're picking, Workman can start to science out, put the puzzle pieces together. What can I do to smart him out? And if Workman can do something different, it'll catch Goulart off guard. We saw that a couple laps ago when he almost blew turn 1.
Exactly. All right, he's close.
And here comes Workman. He's going to go driver's left, but this is really tricky here on the run up to roller coaster here on the brakes. And Goulart hangs on.
Thinks a little bit better of it.
Oh, and Weir and Jackson Bell. A little contact, a little frustration, I think, here because they see those front 3 getting away. So I think we're going to see a little bit more pressure applied to the back of the 71 Tech Sport car as they watch those front 3 start to climb up the order further away.
Yeah, they need to get a move on if they can. The best thing they can hope for, car off, that's weird.
Yeah.
Off into the grass. Well, that'll get Jackson that position for sure.
Yeah, and I think Weisenberg will take the opportunity to go there as well. And Max Schweid will tuck in behind his teammate. The two Tech Sport cars, 71 and 98. Even Schweid's going to sweep to the left here with all the momentum. Here comes Workman to the left again at 1. Yeah, tough to do on the outside. Horseshoe's such a long corner. The good news is if you can stay on the outside, you have drivers left into NASCAR bend, and that's a good opportunity to make up a spot.
And that's exactly what Jackson Bell and Lucas Weisenberg are realizing. Bell holding that inside lane through NASCAR bend. This isn't done yet.
No, it's not. But again, if Lucas can hang on the right, he can't. Jackson Bell's going to clear him. But is the damage already done? 2 seconds between themselves and third place Will Robusto.
Yeah, I would normally say yes.
Right,
but Jackson did this yesterday, that he was able to charge back up through the field.
Yeah, and he's going to drag Weisenberg with him. And he might be the quickest car on the road, save for Goulart and Workman this weekend. So, again, as I say, put the strongest locomotive on the front of the train. I'm curious if Weisenberg is going to sit behind the 7 now and be a little bit more comfortable with this arrangement versus the one when the deck was shuffled the other way. So they might hang out, but Bell's out of control over South Bend. This car is loose this weekend.
Yeah, really and truly is. And as for Lucas Weisenberg, love Lucas, but chill and calm. Not 2 words I would use to describe his driving style.
Yeah, he's getting after it, man. It's fun. It's fun to watch, but again, knowing when to apply that pressure. Actually, that was a big gain for Bell, even with the slip. Gained a lot on Will Robusto, that sector.
I think it was actually, well, the slip, yes, but it was Weisenberg that had the big off coming through Oak Tree, coming out of Oak Tree. Picked up some dirt on the exit.
Saying with the slide out of South Bend.
Yeah, it's South Bend, and I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, that was a big moment for
was.
Bell, but he kept the foot in the throttle, and he gained half a second on the backstretch, too.
Yeah.
Man, that car's fast.
It's just, but to your point, it's loose.
Loose is fast.
Loose is fast. It is on the ragged edge. And look at the gap he's already got between himself and Lucas Weisenberg in the back there. He is starting to close in here.
You can see it wiggling through Hog Pen, turn 17. You just have to wonder how much of that is set up and how much of it is just Bell just wrestling that car, because you can't really change all that much on these cars. You've got some damper settings, and you can disconnect or connect the front and rear anti-roll bars, and you've got a couple aero settings, but maybe it's the aero that they're playing with here this weekend, just trimming out the wing.
We'll have to go down to Copeland Motorsports and maybe find out a little bit later. Is that a little bit of a bobble for Workman mid-corner there?
Yeah, nothing super consequential, but 2/10 between him and Goulart, and 2/10 between Robusto and Workman, and Bell is right back in the game now. So they're trying to separate this into little micro packs, as we've seen in past years, where you get groups of 2 and 3 and 4, but they are unable to do so. We're back into a 4 or 5 car group now.
As they come back into Snake once again, we're under 15 minutes to go, so 2/3 of this race is done. And it does look like it's starting to be a bit of a 3-car breakaway now at the front of the field. 4-car breakaway, excuse me. With Bell able to claw that time back in. I'm watching that car right there, the number 2 of Will Robusto.
He's been the least ragged looking.
Of course, as soon as we say that, it gets really squirrely coming over South Bend.
Well, everyone else has done that in the last 5 or 6 laps, so I think he's saved some Continental for the last 15 minutes of this race. And he knows how to get it done. He did it at Sonoma in a pretty fun fight with Weisenberg, so he can get up on the wheel. We haven't seen him in this strong of a position in quite some time, so maybe this could be his day once again, pick up his 2nd victory in his career. But he's got to pass 2 really good cars to do it.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. Watch Workman. Is he going to think about a move into roller coaster? Yes, he is. He's going to go to what will be the outside of the corner. Driver's left, late on the binders. Is he going to get that car slowed down?
Yeah, well, almost.
Goodness.
He almost messed it up, but Goulart almost let it happen, like he knew that Workman would overcommit. And now Goulart going to be sitting in 2nd place. Now, I have my opinions on this, DJ, but would you rather be 2nd or 1st coming to the white flag?
1st.
I'm in agreement with you. I don't think that the draft is enough of an advantage to do the slingshot predictably every time.
No, that is track specific. I think if you're talking about Road America,
different story
in Indianapolis, I want to be 2nd.
Right, but Goulart, again, with so much experience in single make racing, where you've got a lot of draft to play with, seemed pretty content to let Workman make that pass complete. Here comes Robusto now. This is what you don't want to do, is get tangled up in a fight for P2.
Nice move by Will Robusto, just barely getting that nose to the inside and doing exactly what we talked about, feeding the car around the outside into what becomes the inside of NASCAR Bend. Brilliant stuff from the RVA Graphics Motorsport driver.
Jackson Bell tried to trip up Goulart there into left hook, but couldn't do it. Not that time through, at least. But
and welcome back to the party, Jackson Bell.
He's here. He's a ding-dong ditch the 72 here in a second, I think, with how fast he approached. But now Workman and Robusto is the 2-car capable of sticking with the 13. Have we seen this alignment so far yet this weekend?
I think we have, to be honest. I don't think Weston got a lap in the lead yesterday.
Weisenberg lingering back there, now clear of the Tech Sport Racing cars. Once this gets spicy up here, and it will get spicy, let's not count the 46 out yet either.
No, he's got the potential to close back in, and he's crucially got about a second or so, call 1.2 in the second between himself and Christian Beer to be able to close, to be able to just focus ahead. He doesn't have to be looking out of that rear view mirror. Now it's Workman weaving back and forth on this back straightaway.
Got to be careful with the weaving. The 72 has been warned for blocking. Now, let's quick little reminder on what blocking is, DJ. That is moving in reaction to a trailing car. So if the car behind you changes lanes before you and you cover it off, you see the race control message there. That is a block. And Workman comes across the road where Busto sticks the nose up the inside, hits the blunt end of the curb there with the right front Continental. And that's another one of those moments where did the 2-car have enough overlap to say, hey, like that was a little bit of a cheeky move there on the 13, but they're watching carefully now.
I would not be surprised if we see another warning coming from race control based off of that move.
Yeah, you just got to be cautious with it. But the aggression level is so high, 10 minutes to go here. And up the front straightaway, Weston Workman.
Let's watch this again.
On defense here, watch the 2-car, pops out of line. Workman sweeps over.
You can make an argument that that first move is the racing line that he was on, but we've got to go back to the lead of the race here because here comes Robusto. We saw him try to do this move earlier, didn't play out on this time around. Goulart not able to get up to the inside. Now Robusto looking down to the inside of NASCAR Bend, but catches the curb and gets a little squirrely.
No, I think also he thought about sending up the inside, but backed out and see if Weston Workman would overdrive the corner. Workman didn't fall for it, but battle's still on here, entering Snake now.
These cars are just slippy, slidey as these Continentals start to wear a little bit. They are all over the place, dancing on top of this asphalt.
Well, they've just been sliding them around. You know, the track temp's pretty warm here, 42 degrees C track temp, so it's up over triple digits in Fahrenheit, and you just can only slide around the rear of a GR Cup car so much before you make things a little greasy.
Exactly. Here they come up through the rising S's.
And Weisenberg's back at the tail of this group, by the way.
Good lines there for everybody through South Bend. Now, I don't anticipate anybody getting a little gutsy here into Oak Tree. Of course, as soon as I say that, Will Robusto down to the inside, almost contact with Weston Workman. They're going to come out, and Goulart's probably going to be able to carry the most momentum. He's now almost going to be side-by-side with Workman. Is side-by-side, little bit of contact, and here comes Jackson Bell.
Take advantage of that. These drivers chopping each other's noses off now on the run up Madison Avenue. Bell's looking for third place. Now Robusto just took the sneak attack to the inside of Workman. Contact at a high-speed section of the racetrack, 130 miles an hour. Boot to the rear bumper for the 2-car over Robusto. They're side-by-side into roller coaster.
Noah's Ark down into the corner, late dive into the corner there for Will Robusto, but they're still side-by-side. Jackson Bell may lose out here as Weisenberg tries to be able to power around him. No, resetting the order, it's Robusto, Workman, Goulart, and Bell, your top 4. Lucas Weisenberg waiting in the background. Big slide there for Robusto.
And they brought Weir and Schlide back into it as well, so 7-car race for first place, 8 minutes to go. And as the timer ticks down, the intensity cranks up. And the 13 and 2 getting pretty frisky out there on the backstretch. Here comes Workman again.
There's some dimples on the front of that number 13 machine. Or are we thinking about 3 wide? Goulart thought about it, but I think he may just settle for trying to go down to the inside of Weston Workman. Workman can't get the overlap. Going to stay in single file order, but watch this to the inside of NASCAR Bend. This is where we've seen it get real spicy in laps previous.
Yeah, and even left hook too. If you size this up just right, watch Workman here. Carves left, little contact there, and Robusto saw it coming, took a tighter arc. Yeah. Here comes Goulart up the inside of Workman, but has to bail. And now Jackson Bell picks both their pockets. He's going to go to the outside and take 2 spots in 1 corner.
Move of the race for Jackson Bell, just recognizing the opportunity and pouncing upon it, and now who I'm going to argue is the fastest car on the track, despite not setting the fastest lap of the race. That lies with Weston Workman. Bell up to P2.
Yeah, that was a really nice read on the road there. Saw those two cars playing chicken with each other into left hook and said, all right, boys, I'll just go the long way around then. And now it's RVA Graphics Motorsports and Copeland Motorsports out in front.
Yeah, but here comes Workman. Good run coming through South Bend. Is he going to be a little frisky here coming down into Oak Tree? He's going to take a slightly wider line. Nobody tries to make the pass here at this point. Robusto carries good speed, almost tracks out a little bit too wide. Weisenberg actually does. Let's see what these gaps are as they come onto Madison Avenue. It's going to be Bell and Workman. That's where the battle's going to be.
Yeah, but again, Bell and Workman are, in the past they were working together, not so much now with Workman on BSI Racing. So up the back straightaway. Bit of cooperation though, pushing and shoving. Robusto stays driver's left. Is this a mistake here? Letting Bell have the inside into roller coaster. Bell takes the lead, contact, slide, and Robusto hangs on, but not for long.
And Bell back up to the point where he started this race with 6.5 minutes left to go on the clock. Don't look away from your TV screens, folks. This one's not going to be over until that checkered flag flies.
You just can't keep that 7 car down, can you? He has just been fighting an uphill battle all weekend long, but making excellent results out of it, and still a long ways to go. 6 minutes here might as well be an eternity for a GR Cup race when you've got battles every corner.
Should be about 3 laps to go if my math is correct at the line. Lap times are about 2:08.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Oh, little contact into one. Robusto, big
contact into one.
Ooh, that's not going to go play well, I think. Jackson Bell gets shuffled out of the way, and front to rear contact. That's a little naughty there, but looks like Goulart trying to go the long way around. Weston Workman now battling for 3rd place. Here comes Weir past Lucas Weisenberg again. It's like a nightmare that won't go away for the 46, and here comes Schweid.
Nice move by Christian Weir. Schweid down to the inside. Is that going to be Lucas Weisenberg losing a place as they come down through the right-hander? I think so. I think he was able to hold on to it. Yes, he was. But Robusto now back up at the front of the field, starting to stretch his legs a little bit, and we're exactly where we were on the last lap.
And, of course, race control is looking at that as they head up through the S's, Robusto and Bell. Nose to tail. And if you're Jackson Bell here, DJ, are you willing to do the same in return, or are you going to wait for stewards to have a look?
I mean, granted, I say that from an air-conditioned commentary booth. I'm not the one in the car with my blood up right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably 130 degrees inside the car, 250 million degrees under the helmet of Jackson Bell right now. Line astern here up on Madison Avenue, and headlights flashing from Jackson Bell. Weston Workman, Ethan Goulart in 3rd and 4th. Christian Weir up inside the top 5 now.
I'm curious about Weir. He's the one that has looked relatively contained. He could maybe be on for a sneaky podium here if he saved the Continentals. But here comes Bell. Thought about a move onto Robusto.
Off into roller coaster now. A little contact there from Workman in the BSI car. They're wearing out the rear bumper of that 7 car today, aren't they?
They are, and I already said it. Workman's got a few dimples on the front of that number 13 already.
Some days you're the bat, some days you're the ball.
Yep.
Someone's swinging for
there you
Grand Slam here, huh? 4 minutes left in Toyota GR Cup North America. Race 8 of the season. 14 rounds in this championship. Halfway was yesterday. And the 13 BSI racing car, Weston Workman, is the championship leader. But Jackson Bell in 2nd place, going for the lead, is trying to chase him down on the outside into turn 1 here, DJ.
Looking for the crossover. That's Robusto very, very wide. Not sure if that's going to allow him to carry momentum. He swings a little bit wider there, potentially opens up the door for Bell. Bell decides not to go for it. Goulart gets a little bit closer to Weston Workman in the back. Now here comes the move.
Off into turn 4 now, into left hook and up into the lower S's here. They call that snake. Running out of time, running out of laps here. 3 minutes and 15 seconds to go. And there's a penalty for the 2 car, DJ.
That's a 5-second time penalty for the 2 car. That is for Will Robusto, your leader of the race, which means by de facto point at this point in the running, it will be Jackson Bell in the lead.
Oh boy, 5-second penalty drops you outside of the top 5 right now, doesn't it?
Yep.
So that's a big one for Robusto, and that was because front to rear contact in which you gain a position is disallowed. So that's going to push the 2 car out of the lead here once the results are factored in. So, in the SRO Motorsports pit, they'll be talking about that. They will let Jackson Bell know that he does not need to pass that 2 car. The 13 car, though, does need to pass the 7. So Workman, here he comes up Madison Avenue.
Workman going to be side by side with Bell. He's going to get a little bit of a shot here from Ethan Goulart from behind. No, Goulart's going to be a little selfish, trying to go 2 for 1. No, he is going to get a little bit of a shot. Bell falls down to 3rd, having led coming out of Oak Tree.
Remember, this is the turning point in the title halfway through the year, and if Workman can just continue to eke out an advantage, it makes the math a lot harder for Jackson Bell in the second half of the season, and as it finishes, it would be Workman gaining more ground on Jackson Bell heading into Road America next month. Big slide for the leader.
What did we say at the beginning of this race? Bell needs to finish ahead of Weston Workman if he wants to chop down this championship lead. He's in 3rd right now. Workman in 2nd. Excuse me. Yeah, well, Workman technically leading this race with the 5-second time penalty. 1 lap to go, white flag in the air.
And Weston Workman does not need to pass this 2 car. Remember, the leader has a penalty, but Ethan Goulart in 2nd place would love to repeat and sweep the weekend, much like Workman did at Sebring last time out. And again, Workman would love to show the world that it wasn't just once, wasn't just twice, it could be 3 times here. Circuit Performance tells us that Sector 2 is Workman's strongest, but Sector 3 is for that 7 car.
Goulart got a good run coming out of NASCAR Bend, but it wasn't enough to be able to capitalize into left hook.
You know, the real question mark here is this 2 car is not going to win this race because of the penalty. The question now becomes, how is it going to impact the battle for what will cycle to be the lead?
I mean, it doesn't look like he's got any intention of getting out of the way here, much to the chagrin of Weston Workman, I think, at this point. He could slow him down.
It's a time penalty. Absolutely don't give up any space or positions. You're still racing. So Robusto needs to continue racing up here, but it's going to clog up the battle for the lead going into roller coaster, and it's going to get wild here, folks.
But it could also come to benefit Weston Workman because he'll get the draft off the leader.
It could come to benefit Robusto. If they all wire themselves up into roller coaster, he could still win the race. So let's see what happens.
Half a lap to go. Here we go down Madison Avenue. Big slip and slide in the back there for Max Schweid. He's going to hold things together, but it's really the eyes on 2 on back. It's Workman, it's Goulart, it's Bell. Bell looks like he's out of touching range here at this point, maybe under attack from Christian Weir. Watch that white and purple machine of Ethan Goulart. Does he have anything to go on Weston Workman?
Down the back straightaway for the final time. Workman in behind the 2 car. Goulart, is he going to take a send up the inside at roller coaster? He does not. He's going to let it play out on the run down the hill here for the final time. Weisenberg on Weir battling for a top 5 spot. Robusto leads, but he's got a 5-second penalty hanging over his head, DJ.
Workman's going to be able to hold off into this final couple of corners here into Hog Pen. Here comes the drag race down the main straightaway. Does Goulart or do Bell have enough of a run to be able to change the outcome of this race? Workman looks ahead, pedal to the floor. He's going to come to this finish line and take victory. It's 3 out of the last 4 for Weston Workman. Ethan Goulart 2nd, Jackson Bell 3rd.
Yeah, wow, what a battle to the end there. And the 2 car of Robusto unofficially scored 7th place. The rest of the field comes down the hill. Beltre Curtis on track for a top 10 here, but here comes Ethan Tovo in the 113. Final turn here. This will be a drag race to the finish line between the white and black cars here. And Beltre Curtis trying to cling to it here in the final moments, and I think he's going to do it. Top 10 run for him.
Just barely for Beltre Curtis after what was a little bit of a sketchy run out of that corner. Side by side farther back in the field, this is Peyton Finn and Spike Kohlbecker.
For position.
Yeah, this is for position. Remember, Kohlbecker came in to clean up that grill. This is going to be a true drag race. Peyton has a little bit of the advantage here, but Kohlbecker trying to close on in this for 16th, and it's going to be Peyton. No, Kohlbecker at the line.
And DJ, the gap on the timing and scoring, 0.000. Wow.
That's close.
That's down to as many digits as we have on our scoring screen. A tie.
Yeah, impressive stuff there. And impressive stuff up at the front of the field. Weston Workman extending his championship advantage over the rest of the field. And Ethan Goulart really, really impressing here for Tech Sport.
Yeah, Goulart first and a second. That'll be great for his championship run as well, because he's P5 in the standings and a long ways back from Workman, but still very much in it. And if Workman gained 109 points in the first 6 rounds of the season, you can certainly earn that many in the second half of it. And a hard-fought battle. They will be exhausted, tongue hanging out. Man, it's going to be an interesting conversation post-race with a handful of drivers, I think, with how aggressive that got. Elbows out, bumpers, and Continental rubber with the lettering rubbed off and fenders flying.
Let's give some credits to some of the other drivers that we didn't really get to focus on because that battle for the lead was so good, including Isabella Robusto driving home with a little bit of damage here.
She had that on the opening lap, so
yeah.
She was driving with that the entire race. You know, Spike Kohlbecker would have liked to grill that big to clear out the grass on the from his excursion off track.
Max Stallone again with another solid top 10 run for that PT Autosport with Copeland Motorsports driver. Really impressive run for him. Kyle, let's take a look at those unofficial results. We will wait for official read-up by race control in a little bit, but Weston Workman taking the victory over Goulart and Bell. Weir, Weisenberg, Schweid, Robusto with that 5-second time penalty falls back down to 7th.
Yeah, in 8th place, Isabel Robusto, Max Stallone in 9th. Of course, Beltray Curtis with a nice top 10 there for Copeland Motorsports. Then Ethan Tovo, Carl Foreman, Jensen Safronis. Look at Kowalski and Brunson there, but look at this. Kohlbecker and Peyton Fay and gap to the leader, 46.664 for both of them. A tie for 16th place advantage. Kohlbecker in the 100,000th digit. And looking down the rest of the order, Massimo Sinceri, Climas for Skip Barber Racing, Livio Galanti, and then some drivers that didn't have the best day. Lennon, Koch, Tovo, Ayers. Let's have a look at the highlights from GR Cup race number 2 from VIR.
Jackson Bell led us to the green flag with Spike Kohlbecker to his outside, and it was Kohlbecker that was able to get ahead of him early on, but unfortunately an off going down through South Bend for both Bell and Kohlbecker. Saw Kohlbecker take a faceful of grass and fall down through the order. Battles up at the front of the field, though, were fierce and frenetic all day long.
Yeah, and you see Weston Workman out in front here, then Robusto up the inside, little contact there as the elbows got out, then Ethan Goulart getting up into the mix as well. DJ, fierce fights amongst the top 6 or 7 for most of this race.
Yeah, and we saw Jackson Bell here get a little bit of contact from Will Robusto, and that is what gave Robusto a 5-second penalty, which saw him fall back through the order. But at the end of the day, it was Weston Workman, courtesy of that penalty, that was able to take victory over yesterday's winner, Ethan Goulart. Here they come pulling on in. There is your victor, Weston Workman. A well-fought victory once again. Climbs out of the car for the 3rd time this season on the top step of the podium. And there you can see the pure joy on the face of that driver.
That's what it feels like when you start picking them up left and right here, DJ. I mean, winning that Sebring not once, but twice. And then coming in here to VIR and continuing his winning ways, growing his championship lead. It's looking like it could be Weston Workman's year if things keep going just like this.
Big heads up from, I believe that's Goulart there, that's giving him a big how you doing. Always good to see that, the sportsmanship among the different drivers. Workman taking the balaclava off. And there is that short haircut that we talked about yesterday for Weston.
Aerodynamic.
And big hugs. Amanda is down on the spot, ready to talk to our GR Cup champion.
And Weston, just the reaction and the excitement for you. I'm already pumped for this interview. Your dad did come over and he said, I didn't wreck my golf cart, and no crying today, Amanda, but winner of the last 3 of 4 races. Can you put it even to words what is happening for you right now?
It's just amazing. I can't thank all the people around me. You know, I was playing that race safe. I was biding my time. I knew BSI Racing gave me a good car. You know, I was super patient in the beginning. Rode around in P4 for a while, then finally got the lead, then lost the lead, and then my team told me that Robusto had a 5-second penalty at the end. Sucks for him because he's honestly one of my good friends, and you know it would have been cool for him to get another win this season, but you know you can't win them all. I'm happy that me and my team won the race. This Endava GR86 Cup car was phenomenal all race. Thank you to Toyota, Endava, BSI Racing, my parents, everybody involved that gives me this opportunity. It's unreal.
How much faster is that haircut making you?
That's a good question. I mean, it's weight reduction, it's aero, it's all the above. I think it was a good decision to cut it, so I think I'm going to keep it this way for a while.
What a dynamic points weekend for Weston Workman as well in this championship, a win and a runner-up. That's going to mean something towards the end of the season, guys.
It certainly will, and I've got to agree with him. Aerodynamic, weight reduction, the haircut is working, and he looks good.
No drawbacks.
No.
As far as I can tell.
It It really means a lot. You're the only
No,
team owner that's been over
big
there.
heads up there in all of the paddock, and you can see just how well respected he is. That you've got multiple team owners and drivers coming over to thank and congratulate Weston on a well-driven victory. Kyle, this is what it's all about. This is GR Cup at its finest. A race like this where you don't know what's going to happen until the final flag flies.
No, VIR was exceptional. The battling this weekend is so elbows out, so aggressive, so hard fought, and a new winner here with Ethan Goulart. Weston Workman gets it in race number 2, but Road America is next on the calendars for round 9 and 10 of the 2025 GR Cup Championship, DJ.
Road America is going to be a great place to see these cars do battle, as it always is. But as we turn our sights away from Virginia International Raceway, championship momentum clearly at the back of this car. Weston Workman, he is in great stead to be able to maybe claim a maiden championship for BSI Racing, but there's going to be plenty of drivers that want to challenge him in that run. Jackson Bell among them, Ethan Goulart. But on behalf of DJ and Kyle, thank you.